Hey guys, how's it going? This is your host, Hao Kong. Uh, uh, uh. They don't take me one take for everything, so. Ugh. Hey guys, this is Hao Kong, your host for Let's Talk Pack. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your week after the Packers' victory on Sunday against the Lions. I know I've been enjoying my week, and this is episode 5 of Let's Talk Pack, which is really exciting because I haven't made it this far yet, 5 episodes in. So definitely enjoying doing these for you guys. But again, hope you guys are enjoying your week. As you know, the Packers beat the Lions this week, and for me, it's been a pretty hectic week. So me and Roy went to the game on Sunday. Very great experience for both me and Roy. We both had fun during the game, and we ran into so many happy fans, and a couple fans in particular that we met. I believe their names were Liz and Brennan or Brenton. Brennan, I think his name was. Um, but if you guys are watching this, hey, what's up? Hope you guys are enjoying your time in Chicago. But we ran into them. We had so much fun. They sat right next to us during the game. Actually, they were right behind us. It was so great to enjoy the game with them. We also had a great couple. I think it was a couple or a couple of friends. I'm not sure. But they were Lions fans. They were sitting right next to us. Very respectful Lions fans. Unlike there were some Lions fans that weren't behaving very well, but we'll leave that out of there because here in Let's Talk Pack, we focus on positivity, right? But they were really nice. But again, a fun overall experience for both me and Roy during the game. Speaking of the game itself was a great game. The Packers winning 27-13 over the Lions. The Packers' first victory at Lambeau Field against the Lions since 2021. So again, getting over that hump for the Packers. It felt like the Packers needed this victory here to get over that little bit of a hump that they had against the Lions the last couple of years. Offensively and defensively dominant. I think that it was a total team effort. To me, I feel like that was the most complete game in a way of complementary football. On offense, you had Jordan Love. He was the gunslinger. I felt like he was the gunslinger because he was just slinging the ball all over the place. He was pretty accurate though. Um, but there was a drive where he had two straight plays where um, he did make a couple of bad throws. One throw was, I believe, an interception that was called back by penalty. And then the next play after that, he almost threw a pick six. Um, Literally, there was nobody in front of the guy. And how do I know that? Because me and Roy were sitting at the end zone um, that the Packers were going away from. So the lines were coming our way. So as I saw this ball get thrown and almost get picked, there was literally nobody there to catch this guy. Perhaps Tucker Kraft was going to be there, but again, that would have been a pick six had he held on to it. Overall, a good game for Jordan Love. He was 16 of 22 for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns. So again, pretty efficient game for Love. Again, those two passes, probably passes that he wanted to get back. But other than that, a pretty good game for Jordan Love. The running game was a bit slow at first, but for Josh Jacobs, as the game went on, the defense wears down. So when the defense wears down, that's where Josh Jacobs makes his money. And in the fourth quarter, I think it was the last touchdown drive that the Packers had. Um, Josh Jacobs was very dominant. Josh Jacobs had 66 yards on 19 carries. So again, a great effort by Josh Jacobs. Not 100 yards there, but again, as the game wore on, he basically got stronger. And it's important in the fourth quarter that if you want to milk that clock, that you ride Josh Jacobs to the bank there. And that's what the Packers did. That last touchdown drive, Josh Jacobs just punched that defense. And you could tell that defense was tired. Now we gotta talk about the offensive line, which doesn't get enough credit. You got your two top offensive linemen there basically out. Great job by the offensive line just staying together and protecting Jordan Love. Jordan Love wasn't sacked all game. So again, great job by the offensive line. Now let's move on to the defense. This is a star-studded defense right now, and the anticipation was high for Micah Parsons' debut, and he did not let us down. For me and Roy, we were very excited to see Micah Parsons take the field. When he got introduced and ran out of that tunnel, it was amazing. Just the ovation he got was probably one of the loudest I've ever heard at Lambeau. Yes, he only got only one sack during the game, but he was basically just all over the field, and he was just a problem for the Detroit Lions. Even if he wasn't involved in the play, he was a problem. Um, and that created opportunities for his teammates. You had Rashawn Gary, who had 1.5 sacks. You had Lucas Van Ness, who had half a sack. Devontae Wyatt with half a sack. It's, or not half a sack, actually, it was a full sack. Pardon me for that. But again, creating opportunities for your teammates. That's what Micah Parsons does. That's like I call it the Micah Parsons effect. Everybody keys in on him because of the way he is, the way he's talented, the way he can rush the passer and things like that. All the attention goes to him. And then that creates opportunities for others to make plays. And that's what the Packers defense did. Another example of that would be Evan Williams. He had one interception during the game, but that again was caused by Micah Parsons, who wasn't even involved in the play. He had a pass rush and hurried Jared Goff to throw that ball, and that stopped the Detroit Lions in their red zone. I think they were near the end zone, but it was in the towards the end of the first half, and the Lions were driving. The Packers needed to stop, and Micah Parsons delivered with Evan Williams just getting that pass picked off. I think that was a turning point for me during the game because I felt like if the Lions had driven down the field and gotten a score, at that point you're looking at a 17-10 game, which then the Lions get the ball in the second half. Then again, the Lions could score there, tie up the game. But that did not happen. The Packers defense was relentless. This is the first time I'm going to say this, but I truly feel like the Packers defense was dominant against the Lions. Nothing against the Lions, the fact that they had a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. Yes, you can come up with those excuses, but the performance by the Packers defense was truly dominant. Now moving on to special teams. Yes, I'm talking about special teams. All three phases right now hit on the mark for the Packers. I want to specifically talk about Daniel Whalen, who had signed a 2-year extension, but he was amazing during the Packers' victory against Detroit. Now, the very few times that he had a punt, he had 3 punts. 2 punts landed inside the 20. If I remember correctly, there was one punt, one of those 2 punts was basically on the Packers' own, like basically the Packers need him to flip the field. The Packers were backed up near their own end zone. I could not believe my eyes when I saw Daniel Whelan punt this ball. Literally, I saw the punt returner like backtrack, like just backpedal back all the way back inside his 20. And I realized that this punt was probably one of the longest punts I've seen, but it flipped the field for the Packers. And I was just amazed again by how far this punt went. And it truly helps out the Packers if you have a field of possession changer like Daniel Whelan. And then there was another punt too that led to the last touchdown drive for the Packers. It was late in the fourth quarter, I think in the fourth quarter. And again, the Packers needed somebody to flip the field. Daniel Whelan was there to flip the field. He basically downed that punt inside the 10 And from there, the Packers defense took over and sacked Jared Goff, I think, on the first play, either first or second play. But again, that drive for the Lions stalled, and basically the Lions couldn't make any moves. They actually lost yardage, and then they were on the 1 yard line, which then flips the field for the Packers. Lions have to punt on fourth down. Punter didn't have a great punt, so then the punt was returned into Detroit territory. So basically, great field position by the Packers, and then Josh Jacobs does the rest. Complimentary football at its best, right there. Now the Packers have a short week heading into this week with their matchup against the Washington Commanders, a team that made it to the NFC Championship game last year, and they have a dynamic quarterback. But heading into this week against the Commanders, a team that is hot off a victory against the New York Giants, 21-6. The Packers need to get off to a fast start, and that's one of my keys to the game. I think the Packers need to get off to a fast start because of the fact they're coming off of a victory, carry that momentum into this game. I think that the best way to win is getting off to a quick start, and you saw that against the Lions. So again, if the Packers get the ball, I feel like they need to drive down the field, eat the clock, and score, get on the board fast, run up the score fast enough to a point where, in the second half, you don't need to, you know, play your starters. But again, that could be possible, that could not be possible. Again, Washington's defense is pretty good. This is the same defense that stopped Jared Goff and the high powered offense with the Lions last year with Ben Johnson during the playoff game. So um, don't take the Commanders' defense lightly. My second key to the game is don't show that you're tired. And I think that is for all the players on both the Packers and the Commanders. Um, it's a short week and you only get 3 days of rest. So for the Packers, they cannot show that they're tired. And that's why I alluded to the first key point, get off to a fast start. Now, if you get off to a fast start, then that kind of shows, okay, we're ready, to take on the Commanders. So don't show you're tired. Hopefully, the Packers had a plan to coming into this game to kind of set up practice in a way that they don't exhaust themselves during the week. My third key to the game and my final key to the game, and this is very important because the Commanders' offense is led by Jaden Daniels. And Jaden Daniels, he's in his second year, didn't put up quite the numbers that you'd expect against the Giants last week. But you cannot let Jaden Daniels be a factor in the game and be that multi-threat dual threat that you see. He can run the ball, he can pass the ball. He's a very mobile quarterback. He's a game changer. And I'd love to have him on the Packers too. He's that type of quarterback. He reminds me a lot of Michael Vick in a way, and the fact that he can run, he can pass. So he's that dual threat that the Packers, if you look back in history, have struggled with. So the only way to ground Jaden Daniels and just make him one dimensional. If you make him one dimensional, then you basically take one part of his game away. It's either his legs or his arms. So you got to make a choice. I'd rather keep Jaden Daniels in the pocket and just let him be a pocket passer. I'd rather him be a pocket passer than a rushing quarterback who can scramble all around and make plays happen. You can't let that happen against the Commanders, because if that happens, the Packers are in for a long night, and the Packers defense is in for a long night also. Now, if you're asking for my prediction, last week I was totally wrong off on my prediction, and I doubted the Packers. This week, I'm not doubting the Packers. I think the hype is real. I think the defense is real. I think the offense is just on the track to stardom right now. So I will take the Packers in a victory, 23-10. I think the Packers defense will step up and limit Jaden Daniels inside the pocket. I think that there's going to be multiple sacks during the game. Hopefully, fingers crossed that Micah Parsons gets a sack as well. But I really do think this defense is for real, and this real test will come against Jaden Daniels. But I think for now, the Packers defense has what it takes to become a championship caliber defense. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Again, I apologize that Roy isn't here. Unfortunately, because of the short week, he couldn't make it. And I apologize also for my nasally noise that I have right now as I am battling allergies and things like that. Tis the season for allergies and everything. So hopefully my voice doesn't sound too nasally. But again, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we will see you next week. And as always, go, pack, go.